Hey, what's going on? Slip is here with match 5 of our Esper Brain Control League. So we see this opener, which is pretty weak. I'm going to ship it, and now we see 2 jars and a telling time. I decide that's okay. Not the worst. Not very good either. Our opponent wishes us well. And that looks like burn. That's not great. So it plays in a coddle. And we just kind of need to play jar here because we need to get something going fast. And taps out for 2. Is it an Eidolon? It's a Burning Tree Emissary. So this is Bushwacker Zoo-ish stuff with whatever the Revolt card is, Hidden Herbalist. So this is actually a better matchup for us than Burn is, because if you run a sweeper against them, they really have pretty limited reach. But that doesn't mean we're doing well. We're doing really badly right now. So that's something. Probably want to peer here just in case removal is our best option. What did that reveal? Cryptic Command. There's a card we don't want. So we're just going to fetch, and we'll get an island. And our peer is that Cryptic Command, not that Cryptic Command, another Cryptic Command, and a Path. So I guess we probably just take Path here and hope that Path, Snap, Path can actually do something. If we top deck a Beck at this point, we probably, like, he's not running Gork Clan Rampager, I assume. So that's something. I was thinking about playing out Jar there, or Telling Time, but that would be crazy. Or Snap Path, I guess. Not Telling Time, Snap Path. We would be dead. But what we want to do is just bring in Snapcaster Mage and say, like, block the Goblin Guide or the Emissary, Path in the Coddle. We're going to go down to 5 here. Our opponent has a lot of cards in hand. And we're probably, after this, going to be forced to, like, fetch Telling Time to try to find some better answers. Unfortunately, we get bolted, and that's a bad sign. And our opponent plays a land and bolts us again. We're dead. That was rough. That was rough. So game 2. Sideboarding. There are a lot of cards I don't really want, like Logic Knot. Seems kind of dicey. Spell Snare, not so much. I don't mind the Dispel, Spell Pierce, not so much. I don't mind the Dispel, like replacing the Spell Pierce with the Dispel, just to like catch a couple things. They play plenty of non-creature spells, but not enough that we want like negates and things. Logic Knot, I felt was a little weak. I cut a Cryptic Command for I brought in the Engineered Explosives, because like in some board states it's okay. I brought in the Timelies, and I brought in the Supreme Verdict. The Engineered Explosives I could take or leave, to be perfectly honest. But, you know, that's okay. That's okay. Maybe I should have brought in the Alliance. Ruined Halo doesn't seem very good because their threats are so varied. Logic Knot on the play I could have brought in, because the main thing we want to do is counter a turn 2 play. So maybe this is a mistake taking it out on the play, and then like we remove it again on the draw. That's possible. That's possible. If we can keep this deck from doing anything on turn 2, we probably win, or our chances go way up, right? If they don't play Burning Tree Emissary into a billion things. So this is exactly the kind of hand we want. Anything and a Spell Snare and a Verdict, right? Especially on the play. Goblin Guide. So the question is, do we want to path this? I decide not to. We unfortunately can't afford to play this Brain in a Jar. I kind of want to guarantee, yeah, okay, that's good. So I decided to just Hallowed Fountain at this point. We can't get a Plains, so actually we probably should have fetched this Plains before the Guide attacked, because we kind of wanted to fetch for the basic Plains there, but we only have 1. So that's kind of unfortunate. Does our opponent hit a land drop? Yes, he does. And he didn't fetch a land off of Path, interestingly, so he's only running 1 basic forest, or he has another one. here we get to Spell Snare. We're cutting ourselves off black mana, but that's okay. And now we're in really good shape. So we get to Jar. Our opponent can like Emissary into Bushwacker and it doesn't really do anything. Hidden Herbalist with no Revolt trigger seems bad. I decided to play another Jar since we have this Beck, and I don't think we're gonna die, so I'm just gonna shock myself. Gonna Beck call. We draw a bunch of cards. Telling Time, Path, these are all good cards. I want to see if I can get him to like a Tarkus command or something. He bolts a bird, which seems ambitious, so we're gonna push that, and he just scoops. So that was good. That was exactly what we want to do. Basically, is like Spell Snare into like anything, right? Spell Snare is just great, and if we had more Spell Snares, we'd do better in this matchup. But that's fine. 1-1 here. Did I change the sideboard for game 3? Nope, I did not. This hand is kind of bad, but if he doesn't have a terribly explosive start, it at least gets us somewhere. So I decided to keep it. Maybe I should have mulliganed this, but our opponent had mulliganed. He mulligans to 5. So that's something. He plays a Nakatl. I'm going to push the Nakatl. Unfortunately, we don't have a Spell Snare, but it doesn't matter in the end. So our opponent had a pretty good mulligan. He has a redundant deck, so that helps. Must mulligan pretty easily. Now plays a Burning Tree Emissary into a Goblin Guide. So this went from us being like, okay, to just being absolutely terrible. We're not even going to get to Verdict mana anytime soon. We've got a Telling Time, kind of in a panic. Cryptic is the best thing we can do here, I think. So we play Watery Grave tapped, and then hold up Dispel and hope he like Atarka's commands or something to try to give everybody whatever, and then he's empty-handed. So if our opponent had drawn a creature here, if it wasn't a haste creature, we might not be dead. There was a moment at the end of that turn where our opponent paused for a second, which is kind of funny. So I had the feeling that they had Lightning Bolt, but there's really nothing we can do about it here. So we draw Telling Time. We can play this Gate, and then we're going to just Cryptic our opponent's team, and then he's probably going to play an instant on us. So we get bolted to -1. So we got rolled pretty hard there. Our opponent recovered very well from mulliganing to 5, but again, their deck is pretty redundant. It's a little... It runs out of gas really quickly if we can deal with it, but it's also, you know, I mean, it's got a good matchup against us when it has hands like these. So this kind of like go wide aggro is pretty good when you're facing decks that are tuned to kind of like the Death Shadow Jund type of aggro plays. So that's good. So we finished at 4-1. We did take a game off of this, which we're not assuming is a great matchup. Fortunately, this isn't much of a deck anyway. And it was a good run. It was a good run. It's too bad we didn't get the 5-0. However, I think overall the deck did some cool things. And as far as the split between Telling Time and Peer Through Depths, I actually didn't mind either of them, and I felt like I had more or less enough dig. There were kind of emergency situations like this one where I wish I had drawn Peer instead of Telling Time. And I guess in this game, Anticipate would have been better because we had to draw some garbage earlier where we might not have otherwise had to. So that's something to keep in mind, but I am actually pretty sold on the Peer Through Depths. I know, even in these videos, there were a number of times where we just had Jar on 1 and we peered and picked up a Beck, and it seems it's a really good feeling. it's a really good feeling. So I'm going to try something similar again. I might replace the Telling Times with Anticipates, just see how it is. You know, it's kind of a really hard difference to evaluate, although sometimes, you know, I really like the idea of telling time as a get a land and a spell kind of thing for your next turn. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So that was good and well played by our opponent here. And I'll see y'all next time.